So in just hours, former President Bill Clinton will sit for a closed-door deposition over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
This comes after former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified that she has no information on Epstein's crimes and is confident the same goes for her husband.
Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram live in Chappaqua, New York, with the latest on the investigation. Chad.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Well, this is the highest profile deposition in congressional history. Never before has a former president been deposed by a House committee. The former president met and even traveled with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the Clintons, they have both demanded public hearings, and Hillary Clinton says that's now off the table. She says she was even asked in the deposition yesterday about UFOs.
I'm not going to do it again. They had a chance to do it in public, and I wish they had done it in public. They asked literally the same questions over and over again, which didn't seem to me to be very productive.
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Bill and Hillary Clinton last summer. They ducked appearing through the fall. The committee voted to hold them in contempt on a bipartisan basis. Democrats believe that hauling in former President Clinton gives them ammo to request an appearance by President Trump, especially if they flip the House in this fall's midterms.
This committee has now set a new precedent about talking to presidents and former presidents. And we're demanding immediately that we ask President Trump to testify in front of our committee and be deposed in front of oversight Republicans and Democrats. And that should happen immediately.
Now, one focus of the committee's questioning is on how Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell used connections to hide their wrongdoing. In her testimony yesterday, Hillary Clinton said she didn't know Epstein, but House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says her testimony tees up questions for the former president today.
She admitted that Clinton had Epstein to the White House 17 times, but she said to her knowledge, she never met Epstein. She admitted that Bill Clinton flew on the plane 26 times, but to her knowledge, she was never on the plane. And to her knowledge, she said Clinton didn't go to Epstein Island, even though we read 3 emails from 3 different witnesses that said they saw Bill Clinton on Epstein Island.
Now, Hillary Clinton testified for 6 hours yesterday. Expect another long day today. And it's very possible we could get transcripts and videotapes of both depositions in the next couple of days. Guys, back to you.
Chad, is the approach to fight to see if he's guilty of something, is to expose more details of this? Do they think they're going to, if they find something out there, are they moving towards a conviction of President Clinton? What's the point of this?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, even James Comer has said that, he doesn't know that either Hillary or Bill Clinton had any wrongdoing. But the Clinton Foundation, there's some information out there that, some of the first donations from that came to Jeffrey Epstein. And that's that realm of questioning that I addressed a few moments ago, where they're saying, were there connections, with the Clintons or other high-profile people? Was that part of trying to hide these crimes? And that's what they're getting at today.
I just wonder, Chad, typically you see these investigations when the party that is in control of the White House is different from Congress. And then they do these investigations. You got the Republicans controlling both. So I just don't understand. What do they hope to gain that the Department of Justice didn't get?
Well, you remember that there was a vote by both houses of Congress, unanimous, to release the Epstein files. I think that some Republicans think that, there's some of their base that want to get to the bottom of the Epstein issue. And I thought it was very interesting yesterday when James Comer was pressed about Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, and he kind of signaled that maybe he might bring him in at some point.
We knew that she was going to be questioned. She's saying she's never met him. She doesn't know him. So we're not getting anything from her. The question is, what will we get from the former president, from Bill Clinton today? Because he does admit to flying on the plane, I think he said 4 times. How many times was he on the island? So what kind of questions do we expect? Do we expect, were you with underage girls?
I think that's some of the issues that the committee members want to get at. Anna Paulina Luna, the Republican from Florida, she said a couple of days ago, we want to understand, maybe not if these people who were calling in for these depositions, conducted any wrongdoing, but the idea that they might lead us to understand how that went on. were there underage girls involved, who was with who, and maybe, narrow that down a little bit. They want to understand how this happened and unwind some of that.
Okay, and he wasn't on the island at all, right?
Oh, he was, right?
That's what we know. He traveled with him, and there were certainly visits to the White House. They did meet on multiple times, and that was part of the questioning yesterday with Hillary Clinton, where she said, if at best it may have been in passing that she encountered Jeffrey Epstein.
She wasn't, but he was on the island, wasn't he?
Yes, that's our understanding.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he's guilty,
And
though.
again, that's where that. Well, but that's where that's absolutely. I mean, Howard Lutnick also, he said that he had traveled to the island with his family. There's an awful lot of high-profile and luminaries who went with Jeffrey Epstein there and traveled with him a lot. And again, that's where people are saying, well, who did what? Where's the wrongdoing? And some of this is just guilt by association. Sometimes that's something that people are looking very closely at because they want to say, okay, just because you know somebody who did wrong, you're not guilty. But because this is so voluminous and it hits so many people in so many levels of government. And I was amazed just a few days ago that even George Mitchell, the former Senate Majority Leader, was mentioned in this. So, we haven't heard from him in years. He was the Majority Leader in the late 80s and 90s and had to step aside from the Mitchell Foundation. It's just stunning.
Yeah, and we understand that Bill Clinton says he was never on the island. So we'll see how that pans out.
And I like your Aberford hat, your cap.
Thank you. This is one of my Scottish caps. I probably look better in Edinburgh or Glasgow with this or something, not Chappaqua necessarily, but this is from Campbell's of Bewley, which is a wool place in Scotland. It has a royal warrant on it, which means they make things for the royal family.
Wow.
And this is something that I always wear when I go to the distilleries in Scotland. You guys know that I've
I feel
talked
like
about
when we
Scotch
see
and all
pictures
that.
of the royal family when they're hunting, or anytime you see a picture of fox hunters, they're wearing a barber coat
Right.
and the Aberford
You have to be
cap.
royalty to go after a fox. Right. Do you have something that pulls out of the top that will cover your ears should it get cold?
They do make those.
No, I do have some earmuffs. It's in the upper teens here
Separate
this morning. It's
device.
definitely colder than it was.
Yes.
Yeah, separate device. Absolutely.
Those were the flat caps that a lot of the newsboys would wear, too,
Right.
when they were younger, delivering the
A
papers.
little like Jimmy Olsen in Superman.
I can take the papers around. That's right.
That's right.
If you don't
That's
mind.
right.
Go get him, Chad. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.